All right, hey, I think we are live. Well, this is the first time I'm doing anything that's like a stream kind of thing, so I have no real idea what I'm doing, but hopefully everything will work out. So we are 4 minutes away from the first puzzle unlocking. So if you don't know what Advent of Code is, it is a website that is uh, that at Christmas time makes one challenge a day. The first 100 people to get the challenge right every worldwide gets points from 100 down to 1. And so with the first few challenges, it's very, very hard, very unlikely that we will score points. But once it gets to the tougher challenges, and also when fewer people carry on and do the rest of the challenges, it gets a bit easier. And we have a bit more of a chance to be able to get on the scoreboard. And so I'm not expecting much today, especially since I haven't programmed in a long time. But we will see what happens. We have 3 minutes to go. And so yeah, so I guess for these challenges, I'll be using JavaScript. It is pretty much the only language that I still feel comfortable working in. I tried doing a bit of Python early in the year, but that didn't really pan out, and by now I've forgotten basically everything that I had learned. And so, yeah, I'll also try to use kind of more idiomatic JavaScript, but it's very unlikely I'll be doing stuff in a very professional kind of way. It'll probably come out kind of hacky, especially if I'm trying to beat the clock. And so apologies for any very ugly code that will be popping up. In terms of setup, this is Tmux. So I've already created a file called 01. I also use Vim. And so I just set it up to automatically run every time I save. And that just makes my whole flow easier. So for example, if I type something in here and I save it, it will automatically run at the bottom of my screen. And so I guess what I usually do with this is I don't put the way the challenges work is every competitor gets a different set of inputs, and usually I think what you're supposed to do is put it in a file and read it in. Unfortunately, I don't really know how the file I/O stuff works in JavaScript, and so I just copy and paste the input straight into my JavaScript file, and then I'll just use a bit of multi-line editing or whatever to turn it into something that JavaScript will accept. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I do know one of the years, the first challenge was adding up a whole bunch of numbers, and it was faster to add up all those numbers by piping it into BC, which is a command line command, than to write a program for it. And so depending on the nature of the question, we might end up not even using JavaScript. But again, we'll just see how things go. We have 30 seconds before the challenge starts. I'm pretty excited. Yep, never done this with someone watching over my shoulder before. So let's see how this goes. Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't know why I am. Like, there is pretty much no chance I'm ever getting top 100 on the first challenge. But that doesn't stop me from being nervous. All right, here we go. Oh, I think maybe they have too many people on the website. Yeah, this site crashed. Oh no. All right, there we go. So after saving Christmas 5 years in a row, I've only done this for 3 years. I decided to go to a tropical island. The gold coins used here is stars, and I need 50 stars. Oh, well, I'm not saving Santa this year. I'm just saving my own vacation. Right, so find two entries that sum to 2020 and multiply those numbers together. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to get a list of numbers. I need to find the two numbers in this list that add to 2020. Not sure how I'm going to do that really efficiently. Yeah, the website's a bit slow. I think this is, they probably underestimated the amount of people attempting the first challenge this year. Refreshing this won't help. It will just add more load to the server. So we'll just have to be patient and wait for the numbers to come in. Actually, while I'm waiting for that to load, maybe we can write the program first and see what happens. So if I chuck a comment at the end, that will make them be happy. So what's the best way to do this? I guess we just need to loop over this list twice. It's not efficient, but it will work. So for a of input, actually, there's a slightly faster way to do this. Instead of looping over the whole input twice, we can start from, what do you call it? We can start from the, I'm so bad at explaining things. So this is a standard way to loop over a list. People don't encourage this anymore because it's very error prone. But this lets us halve our work if we start from I instead of starting from j, instead of starting from 0 for the second loop. So we can say, let's just write this out since we have time. So we want to take the first number in the list, and then we take the next number in the list, and we add them together. If a plus b equals 2020, then we want to console.log a b and then a times b, and then we can pretty much quit the program. That's pretty much it. And you can see that works. I think that gives you the exact same result as what it says here. Yeah, look, 1721 and 299 add to 2020. And we can demonstrate that like this. 721 plus 299 is indeed 20. We're still not having luck with getting the input, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, they've killed their server, it looks like. So we'll just have to be patient with that. But we've pretty much got the program. So maybe this is a good time to explain a little bit about programming. What you see here is the old school way to loop over a list. I'm going to comment out these lines and show what this does. So this is saying we set I to 0. Lists in most programming languages start from 0. So what this syntax here means, input square bracket I. That is getting us the first item in this list, which is 1721. And then it will loop, and then what happens is once it gets to the end of the loop, it will add 1 to I. I++ means I so add 1 to I equals I+1. Same idea as that. But it's just a way to write it. I'm just going to move this outside for now. And so you see what happens when we run this is that we print out the number 1721, then the number which is the first time in the list. I is now 1. It comes back around, it gets the second, because I is now 1, it gets the second number in the list, prints that out, then it adds 1 to I is now the next number in the list, adds 1 to that and prints that out, and so on until it reaches the end, until I reaches the length of the input, and then it stops. Now what I did here is because we need to get two numbers in the list and add them together, I'm saying set I to the first number in the list, and then set j to I plus 1, the second number in the list. And then what happens is we're going to loop through j. So the first time we do this, a is going to be 1721, and b is going to be 979. The second time we run this, a is still 1721, and b will be 366. And so on until b reaches the end of the list, 1456. And then the loop will go back around, and a will now be 979, and j will be 366, and so on until it reaches the end. If that doesn't make sense, this is very basic programming, and I didn't think about how I would be explaining this at all. So that was a really, really bad explanation. Yeah, so I'm just going to give up explaining it at this point. Just know that this works, and it is going to check every pair of numbers in here and check whether or not they add to 2020. Once it finds a pair of numbers that adds to 2020, it will print out the two numbers, and the challenge specifically says well, here we go. Find the two entries that sum to 2020. What do you get if you multiply them together? And that's why I'm printing out a times b, which is the number we want. So using this demo input, we get the right answer. So once, there we go. Okay, we've got our input. Let's chuck this in here and see what happens. So I've just got to be a bit careful with how I paste these numbers in here, because the last couple of numbers on the list are not part of our input. Okay, and these numbers are not part of the input because they were our demo data. There. So we ran this, we get an answer. It is 902451. I'm going to submit that. I'm pretty sure this is right. We got it right. We got 823. We're going to keep going. There's a part 2. There's always 2 parts to these questions. Thankful, they often find you 3 numbers in your experience report that meet the same criteria. Okay, so now we need to do the same thing, but we need to do 3 numbers. Hopefully this is not going to go too slow. It should work. Now the reason this is bad, quote unquote bad, is because this is a very inefficient way to do this challenge. It takes a lot of CPU cycles to loop over a list 3 times in a row. In computing terms, this is called n cubed, because we're looping over a list 3 times. But because these numbers were small enough, the size of the list, it was only about 200. It's only about 200 numbers long on this list, and so it was okay to loop over 200 sets of numbers, right? If we think about it, if you have to loop over 200 numbers and check every triplet of these 200 numbers, we're going to have to check on the order of 200 times 200 times 200 sets of numbers, which comes out to about 8 million. So this program had to check 8 million, roughly speaking, combinations of these numbers in order to get the answer. But thankfully this was a small list, and to a computer 8 million triplets is not that hard to calculate, and so we got an answer within like a second or two. And you can see that the numbers that spat out at the end, those were the correct answers. I got it right. And so yeah, so for the first day, for the intro puzzle, I managed to get the website is still struggling. Maybe I'll leave it behind. I'm pretty sure we got 800 and something for the first part, and we got about 200 and something for the second part. 300 and something for the second part. That's fine. It's the first day of the challenge. So looking forward to tomorrow's puzzle. This was a very dip your toes in the water puzzle. Most people, if you've learned a little bit of programming, will be able to figure this out on your own. If that's you, I really recommend that you sign up and give it a go yourself as well. And yeah, so thanks for joining, and we will see you tomorrow at the same time.